What happened to some of your thoughts? Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something the world doesn't say enough. The hard path is the path to greatness. Everyone wants success. Everyone wants to win. The hot short Tom, but very few are willing to endure the discomfort that greatness demands. They want shorts, not struggle, but real growth, the kind that transforms you, only comes when you choose the hard way. Your thoughts, that is your time when you sacrifice comfort and when you embrace the pain others run from. If you want to be unstoppable, don't chase ease, chase strength, discipline, and the kind of progress that comes with struggle. While that is your time. Why most people avoid hard things? Let's face a truth, most people never want to admit hard things scare people. Everyone talks about success. Everyone wants to be great. But when it comes to putting in the work, that is your time. When it comes to choosing pain over comfort, when it comes to sacrificing sleep, comfort, and excuses, most people step back. Why? Because doing what's hard forces you to face yourself. No wonder your thoughts, that is your time, and that's something very few are willing to do. We live in a world where people chase ease. They want quick fixes, instant gratification, and effortless progress. They want the reward without the process. That is your time. They want to be applauded without putting in the reps. But here's the brutal reality. Easy never leads to greatness. Hard things expose you. They bring out your doubts, your fears, your insecurities. They do it in your thoughts. They test your patience, your character, and your hunger. That's why most people run from them. They would rather stay in the illusion of progress than confront the reality of their own potential. People say they want to grow, but they avoid the very things that create growth. That they avoid waking up early, light rejection. They avoid discomfort. They avoid the pain of failing in front of others. That is your time. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why nothing changes, why success feels like it's reserved for someone else. But it's not reserved, it's just earned differently. The truth is, if the road is paved time, the road to success is paved. If you avoid resistance, you avoid transformation. Most people will do anything to stay in their comfort zone. That zone feels safe, it feels manageable. Your thoughts, that is your time. You know what to expect. You don't feel threatened, but that comfort is an illusion. It's a slow death of your potential, because nothing extraordinary happens in the comfort zone. Your thoughts that is your time. People avoid hard things because hard things mean risk of failure, risk of embarrassment, risk of being judged. But avoiding that risk also means avoiding growth, avoiding strength. As your avoiding the very thing that will make you stand out in a world full of people who quit too early. You see, hard things require sacrifice, and that's where most people draw a line. Your thoughts, that is your time. They're willing to talk about success but not give up their distractions. They're willing to dream big but not willing to fail big. They want the title without the grind. The truth is, thoughts, that is your time. If you only do what's easy, you're choosing to be average every time. Think about it. Anyone can stay up late scrolling. Anyone can skip the gym. Anyone can avoid the tough conversation. Introduce your thorns. That is a different, something uncommon. To face what's hard, to say yes to discipline, to wake up when the alarm rings, to keep working when you're exhausted. That is your time. To try again after you failed publicly. That's the difference between most people and those who rise. And here's something no one talks about enough. Avoiding hard things creates a mental prison. Not interrupting your thoughts. That is your time. It traps you in loops of regret. You know you could have done more. You know you had the potential, but you chose comfort over commitment, and that regrets at you silently, not loudly, quietly. Noting the higher thought is as your time, like a background noise in your soul that never shuts off, because deep down you know the truth. You were made for more. Hard things aren't your enemy. They are your ladder. Every rep you push through, your time, every fear you confront, every moment of resistance you endure, it all stacks up. It doesn't just build success, it builds you. It builds discipline. It builds resilience. It builds grit. That is your time. You don't grow from what's easy. You grow from what stretches you, from what scares you, from what breaks you open and rebuilds you stronger. Look around. Most people are stuck because they built their lives around avoidance. They avoid risk, avoid change, avoid failure, and then they complain that nothing is different. But life doesn't change until you change. Thoughts, that is your time. You don't change until you face what's hard. So the next time you're given a choice to do what's hard or to take the easy exit, remember this: easy is the enemy. Hard is the way. Act of your time, because hard things teach you to fight. They teach you to think deeper, act sharper, and endure longer. Hard things develop the parts of you that easy things never will. Most people will never choose this path. Tell me, that's what makes it powerful. It's not powerful, it's not comfortable, but it's worth it. Every sacrifice, every setback, every ounce of sweat poured into hard work, it all compounds quietly, slowly. was a 4 a.m. But inevitably, so that if you're facing something hard right now, don't run from it. Don't wish it was easier. Don't hope for a shortcut. Become stronger instead. Lean into it. Breathe through it. Keep going. Current to the asar time, not just for the results, but for the person you're becoming through the process. That's how champions are made. Not in applause, not in comfort, but in the trenches of hard work, failure, and relentless pursuit. Hard things create separation. They create leaders. They create examples. And when you do what most people avoid, you become what most people admire. So let them avoid the hard things. That is your time. Let them quit. Let them wait. You choose the hard way. You choose the path that builds you, the one that demands more but gives more, because you're not here to be like most people. That is your time. You're here to become unstoppable. Growth begins at the edge of your comfort zone. Every one of us has a place we feel safe in, a space where everything feels manageable, familiar, predictable. Why is it erupting your thoughts? That's your time. It's called the comfort zone, and it feels good until it doesn't. Because here's the hard truth: nothing great happens in that zone. Inside the comfort zone, life is smooth, routines are steady. No one is erupting down, the risks are minimal, but you don't grow there. You survive there, you maintain, you coast. But you don't evolve, you don't stretch, you don't transform. Real growth, the kind that changes your identity. And Tawfal said, that is your time. Your mindset, your life doesn't happen when you're cozy. It happens when you step outside the blanket of comfort and choose to do something that makes your hands shake, your heart race. That is your cue. Your mind scream can't, because at that moment right there, that's the edge. And the edge is where the magic starts. Think of anything extraordinary in your life, any bold move, any breakthrough. No one is interrupting your thoughts. That is your time. Any win that actually meant something, it didn't come from doing what was easy. It came from stepping into something that made you uncomfortable, that demanded more from you than you thought you had. No one is interrupting your thoughts, and that pushed you to the limit and forced you to level up. And that's what most people miss. They think growth is about reading books, watching motivational videos, or planning for the future. Thoughts, that is your time, but growth doesn't live in theory, it lives in action. It lives in the decision to speak up when your voice is shaking. In the moment you walk into the gym when every excuse is telling you not to. That is your time. In the choice to keep going when failure has already knocked you down. In lives where fear exists, what is interrupting your thoughts is your time. And that's most people never get, because they're too busy running the very feeling that leads to growth, discomfort. But discomfort isn't the enemy, it's the signal. It's the internal alarm that tells you you're about to do something new, something powerful, something transformational. Or discomfort means you're breaking a pattern. That is your time. The discomfort means you're stretching your potential. Discomfort means you're alive. Most people confuse discomfort with danger. They think if something makes them nervous or scared, it must be a sign to stop. Thoughts, that is your time. But that's the lie. The real danger is staying where you are, because comfort creates stagnation, and stagnation slowly kills purpose. That's why so many people feel restless in their own lives. Not because that is your time, not because they're broken, but because their soul is screaming for more and they're too afraid to listen. Growth demands that you face that fear, that you push beyond your known limits. Know it as your time, that you willingly walk into the unknown. That's where transformation happens, not just on the outside, but on the inside. That's where you build resilience, courage, mental toughness, and clarity. It is your time. It's like lifting weights. If you lift the same dumbbells every day, eventually your muscles stop growing. They adapt. But when you increase the load, when it burns, when you struggle, that is your time. When you want to drop the weight but keep going anyway, that's when new strength is born. Your mind works the same way. Face new challenges, team, grow strong. Avoid discomfort and stay stuck. Illusion haunts that time, but the more time you spend outside your comfort zone, the wider that zone becomes. What used to terrify you becomes your new normal. You level up again and again. Thought and thoughts, that is your time, but that only happens if you keep stepping past it. Let me ask you something. How many dreams have died inside people's comfort zones? How many talents were never developed because someone was afraid to feel uncomfortable? How many lives stayed small because fear of judgment was stronger than the desire to grow? Too many. That is your time. People fear discomfort because they think it means they're not ready. But the truth is, discomfort means you are ready. You're just being challenged to prove it. And here's the good news. You don't need to take a giant leap. You just need a step, one uncomfortable conversation, one early morning, one workout, one post, one risk, one yes to something that scares you. That is your time. Each small step before us, it is a signal to your brain we are no longer playing small. You begin to rewire identity from timid to bold, from afraid to fearless, from stagnant to unstoppable. No one is entered as your time. That's what discomfort does. It doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. But let me be clear, this is not easy, it's not glamorous. Most of the time it's lonely. There's no applause. That is your time. No guarantees, just you walking into your fear, feeling all the resistance, but doing it anyway. That's what separates those who evolve from those who remain the same. Your comfort zone is not evil. That is your time. It's just incomplete. It's just incomplete as a starting point, not a destination. You're meant to outgrow it again and again. So when life presents you with a challenge that makes you uncomfortable, lean in. Your thoughts, that is yours common. Where when your heart races before doing something new, do it anyway. When your mind tells you to stay safe, choose growth instead. Because everything you want, everything you're capable of becoming, known as an average in your thoughts, that is your time. It's sitting just beyond the familiar, right at the edge of your limits, just waiting for you to step forward. And when you do, you'll discover that fear wasn't something to avoid. It was a doorway. 4 a.m. and 1 is your time. A discomfort wasn't a stop sign, so it was the beginning. And your comfort zone wasn't protecting you, it was holding you back. So don't play it safe. Don't live small. That's in your thoughts. Don't spend your life in the waiting room of your own potential. Push the edge. Live at the edge. Because growth begins right there on the other side of comfort. That is your time. Discomfort builds discipline. Let's talk about something most people run from. Discomfort. Not just physical pain, not just stress or troubling your thoughts, but the kind of discomfort that comes from doing what you don't feel like doing, waking up early, saying no to distractions, showing up when you're tired, staying focused when your mind wants to wander. That is your time. That is the kind of discomfort that builds discipline. And discipline is the foundation of everything you want. Discipline isn't some magical power you're born with. That is your time. It's not something only the elite or lucky have. Discipline is a skill, and like any skill, it's forged in fire, in repetition, in discomfort. That's interrupting towards your time. It's built every time you go against what feels good in the moment in favor of what you truly want long term. You don't become disciplined by talking about your goals. What is meant you limit your thought? That you become disciplined choosing, especially when it's inconvenient. Most people wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect mood, the perfect conditions. But here's the truth. Now is your time. Motivation fades. Some days it doesn't show up at all. But discipline shows up when motivation doesn't. Discipline is what makes you move even when you don't feel like it. Go leading your thoughts. That's your time, and you only develop that kind of strength by facing discomfort head on. When you wake up early instead of hitting snooze, you build discipline. When you keep going after failure instead of quitting, no daunting your thoughts, that is your time. You build discipline. When you focus on your work instead of grabbing your phone, you build discipline. When you say no to temporary pleasure to protect your long-term goal, that's discipline. Thus far your time. Discomfort trains you. It stretches your mind. It forces you to develop the one thing that separates successful people from the rest, the ability to act based on principle, not feeling. You see, interrupting your thoughts, that is your time. Most people live by feelings. If they feel tired, they rest. If they feel bored, they quit. If they feel pressure, they escape. But those who rise to the top learn to feel discomfort and move anyway. So honest, that is your time. They fear care and take the shot. They feel fatigue and do one more rep. They feel like giving up and keep going. And the only way they got there, by training it, by living it, by embracing discomfort daily. That is your time. Think of an athlete. Every early morning workout, every painful rep, every practice session when their body is screaming to stop. That's where greatness is built, not during the game, not under the lights. No one's that is erupting your thoughts, your time, but in the grind when no one's watching and it hurts to keep going. You are no different every time you choose to push through when it's hard. Core and thoughts, that is your time. You are building a level of mental strength that can't be faked. You are training yourself to stay calm under pressure, to stay focused when life throws distractions. That is your time. To stay disciplined even when your emotions try to hijack your decisions. Discomfort is not your enemy, it's your teacher. It reveals what you still need to master. Fali Yumich, that is your time. It shows you where your limits are so you can go beyond them. But here's what separates the few from the many. Most people avoid that lesson. They avoid discomfort, they avoid pressure. And in doing so, know your thoughts, that is your time. They also avoid discipline. They quit, they never build it. So when things get tough, they quit, they crumble, they start over again. They're never staying long enough to become excellent at anything. But you try, Imran Khan is your thought time. You run, you lean in, because you understand what most never will. Discomfort is the path to discipline, and discipline is the path to freedom. Yes, freedom. Discipline doesn't trap you, it frees you. That is your time. It gives you the power to control your life. Instead of being controlled by your impulses, it allows you to build habits that create results. Even when motivation is gone, it makes you reliable, focused, resilient. That is your time, and dangerous in the best way. When others break, you bend and bounce back. When others stall, you push forward. When others need conditions to be perfect, you execute regardless. No one is interrupting your thoughts. That is your time. That's the power of discipline, discomfort. But let's be real, and it won't always feel good. There will be days when you doubt yourself, when it seems like all the effort isn't paying off. That is your time. When your body is tired and your mind says, what's the point? Those are the moments that matter most. That's when champions are made, not when it's easy. That is your time. When it's hard and you choose to continue anyway. Every act of discipline is a vote for the person you want to become. Every day you show up despite discomfort. Know that is your time. You're proving to yourself that you can trust your own word, that you don't just talk, you act, you lead, you deliver. And when that becomes who you are, you no longer wait for motivation. You no longer make excuses. You become unstoppable. So the next time discomfort shows up, don't run. Welcome it. Let it shape you. Let it forge your discipline like fire forges steel. Our time, there's the end, because when you train yourself to love the hard path, there's nothing you can't build. Mastery requires consistent struggle. Mastery, it's a word people love to say, but rarely understand. That is your time. Most think massive greatness, a title earned of greatness, a title earned after a few wins. But the truth is far from glamorous. Mastery is not an event. It is a struggle, repeated, relentless. Know of knowing your thoughts. That is your time, and often invisible. It's not built in the spotlight. It's built in the grind, in the early mornings when no one's watching, in the late nights when motivation is gone, in the quiet hours when you're failing. There's time to adjusting and going again. Anyone can start something. Anyone can be great for a day. But consistency in the struggle, that's what separates those who talk from those who master. Disrupting your thoughts, that is your time. Real mastery demands you show up when you're tired, when you're doubting, when the results aren't visible. It demands that you keep pushing forward when others quit. You interrupting your thoughts, I feel there aren't time. That's why so few ever get there. Not because they aren't talented, but because they aren't willing to struggle long enough. Struggle is not a detour, it's the path behind every great athlete, artist, leader. Love thoughts, that is your time. Or entrepreneur is a long trail of failure, frustration, and fight. They've been knocked down, overlooked, underestimated, but they stayed in the game, not because it was easy, but because they were committed. Thoughts, that is your time. Every setback they faced taught them something. Every mistake refined their skills. Every difficult moment forced them to go deeper. That's how mastery is formed, not through luck, but through pressure. Tell your thoughts, it is your time. Once you don't master something by doing it once, you master it by doing it again and again, each time with more effort and more patience. But here's the key: most people quit too early. That is your time. Now, they get bored, they get tired, they don't see results fast enough, so they jump to the next thing, hoping it'll be easier. But mastery never lives in ease. It lives in the resistance, in the reps. No one is into repetition, and that is your time. In the repetition, that's your advantage. While others are starting over, you're staying planted. While others chase shortcuts, you're embracing the long road. And while they avoid the struggle, no one is independent of your thoughts. That yes, time you're being shaped. Yes, is struggle is uncomfortable. It's also the birthplace of greatness, and the longer you stay with it, the stronger, sharper, than your team thoughts, sort your time, and more unstoppable you become. So if you're struggling right now, don't step back, lean in, because every minute you spend in the fight is building something most people will never have. Mastery. That is your time, and mastery doesn't just change your results, it changes who you are. Success demands sacrifices. Success looks good from a distance. People see the rewards: money, recognition, freedom, respect. Your thought is that your time, but they rarely see what truly costs. It's behind every win is a long trail of sacrifice, and that's the part no one talks about enough. You cannot rise without letting go. You cannot grow while clinging to comfort. Erupting your thoughts. Therefore, something at time. If you must give up extraordinary, you must give up. So that's the law. That's the price. Success demands it. Want time to build your dream. Sacrifice distractions. Want a healthier body. Shorten is your time. Sacrifice junk food, late nights, and excuses. Want financial freedom. Sacrifice imposture and them thinking every level of success asks you to leave something behind. And that decision, that is your time. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be. Sacrifice hurts. It's uncomfortable. It often makes you feel alone. But the deeper the sacrifice, the greater the reward. your thoughts, that is your time. Most people never succeed, not because they lack talent, but because they want the outcome without the trade-off. But the truth is simple: you cannot keep your comfort and claim your calling. The K is your time. Something has to go. Success isn't just about what you gain, it's about what you're willing to lose. Lose laziness, lose toxic habits, lose the approval of people who don't share your vision. And yes, now happens, you may lose friends, you may lose weekends, you may lose sleep, but each thing you give up is making space for something greater: discipline, focus, freedom, and purpose. Every time you choose growth over ease, no one hears that is interrupting your thoughts. That step closer to who you're meant to be, that choice is never loud or flashy. It's quiet. It happens in the dark. While others are resting, you're working. While others are doubting, you're believing. Not erupting your thoughts. As your time, while others are giving up, you're going harder. That's what separates winners from wishers, because success doesn't show up overnight. It comes after seasons of doing what most won't. Wobbism, interrupting your thoughts, that's your time. It comes as after you paid an effort in time. In faith, you'll have days where it feels like you're giving everything and getting nothing. But stay with it. That pain you feel, no one is interrupting your thoughts. That's the process. Sacrifice doesn't weaken you. It strengthens your spirit. It sharpens your focus. It proves that your goal means more to you than your comfort ever did. The bigger your dream, that is your time, the greater the price. And when you finally succeed, not if, but when you'll look back and realize every sacrifice was worth it. Because you didn't just chase success, you earned it. That is your time. Final thoughts on becoming unstoppable. Let's make one thing. Becoming unstoppable is not about being perfect. It's not about never falling or never fearing or never failing. Eat up your thoughts. That is your time. It's about who you choose to be after the fall. It's about what you decide to do when it hurts, when it's hard, when nothing makes sense, but you keep moving anyway. Those your time. You don't become unstoppable because everything goes right. You become unstoppable because you refuse to quit when everything went wrong. You kept showing up. You kept working. But that is your time. You kept sacrificing when no one saw it, when no one saw it, when no one clapped, when one believed. That's what makes you different. That's what sets you apart. Not talent, not luck, but consistency, grit. Your thoughts, that is your time. Relentless commitment to the process. You chose the hard path, the path most avoid. You faced discomfort instead of running from it. You embraced struggle as the cost of mastery. You traded comfort for discipline. Thus, that is your time. That you gave up distractions for dreams. And every time you wanted to quit, you reminded yourself, this pain has a purpose. That is what makes you unstoppable, because life will test you. It will stretch you. No one is there. That is your time. It will break your routines, your confidence, your comfort zones, but it cannot break your spirit unless you let it. So don't let it. Don't let fear speak louder than your vision. What says thou one is into your feet, your parts, deflect others, defeat your purse poor. Don't let the world's noise drown out your fire. You weren't born to live small. You weren't built to stay in the middle. You were made to rise, to fight. Your thoughts, that is your time to struggle and grow and become more than even you believed was possible. And here's the truth: most people never realize you don't find your power when life is easy. You find it when life is hard. That is your time. You rise anyway. Becoming unstoppable isn't a goal. It's a way of life, a mindset, a promise to yourself that you will keep going no matter how long it takes, no matter how much it hurts. Rolling your thoughts, that is your time, no matter how many people doubt you. So from this day forward, don't chase the easy way. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't pray for less pressure. Pray for more strength. Interrupting your thoughts, that is your time. Because every time you choose the hard path, every time you stay in the struggle, every time you sacrifice comfort for growth, you're not just building a dream, you're building a legacy. You are becoming thoughts. That is time you are becoming unstoppable. If this message lit a fire in you, if it reminded you of who you are and what you're capable of, then don't just listen. Act, because motivation fades momentum, but action creates momentum, and momentum changes lives. So take what you've heard today and move with it. Step into your power. Face the hard path. Embrace the discomfort. Hold leader for time and build the discipline that will carry you through every storm. If this spoke to, make sure you subscribe, share this with someone who needs it, and drop a comment below. That is your time. On I choose the hard path. Say it, claim, live it, because the world doesn't need more people playing small. It needs you, focused, committed, and unstoppable. Until next time, keep showing up, rising, and never ever back down.